The Atma, Delivered in America, Part 1. Many of you have read Max Muller's celebrated book, Three Lectures on the Vedanta Philosophy. And some of you perhaps have read in German Professor Dussen's book on the same philosophy. In what is being written and taught in the West about the religious thought of India, one school of Indian thought is principally represented, that which is called Advaitism, the monistic side of Indian religion. And sometimes it is thought that all the teachings of the Vedas are comprised in that one system of philosophy. There are, however, various phases of Indian thought, and perhaps this non dualistic form is in the minority as compared with the other phases. From the most ancient times, there have been various sections of thought in India. And as there never was a formulated or recognized church or any body of men to designate the doctrines which should be believed by each school, people were very free to choose their own form, make their own philosophy, and establish their own sections. We, therefore, find that from the most ancient times, India was full of religious sections. At the present time, I do not know how many hundreds of sections we have in India, and several fresh ones are coming into existence every year. It seems that the religious activity of that nation is simply inexhaustible. Of these various sections, in the first place, there can be made two main divisions, the orthodox and the unorthodox. Those that believe in the Hindu scriptures, the Vedas, as eternal revelations of truth, are called orthodox, and those that stand on other authorities, rejecting the Vedas, are the heterodox in India. The chief modern unorthodox Hindu sections are the Jains and the Buddhists. Among the orthodox, some declare that the scriptures are of much higher authority than reason. Others again say that only the portion of the scriptures which is rational should be taken and rest rejected. One of the three orthodox divisions, the Shankyas, the Naiyakyas, and the Mimamsakas, the former two, although they existed as philosophical schools, failed to form any sections. The one section that now really covers India is that of the latter Mimamsakas or the Vedantists. Their philosophy is called Vedantism. All the schools of Hindu philosophy start from the Vedanta or Upanishads, but the monists took the name to themselves as a speciality because they wanted to base the whole of their theology and philosophy upon the Vedanta and nothing else. In the course of time, the Vedanta prevailed, and all the various sections of India that now exist can be referred to one or other of its schools. Yet these schools are not unanimous in their opinions. We find that there are three principles variation among the Vedantists. One on point they all agree, and that is that they all believe in God. All these Vedantists also believe that Vedas to be revealed word of God, not exactly in the same sense, perhaps, as the Christians or the Mohammedans believe, but in a very peculiar sense. Their idea is that the Vedas are an expression of the knowledge of God, and as God is eternal, his knowledge is eternal with him, and so are the Vedas eternal. There is another common ground of belief, that of creation in cycles, that the whole of creation appears and disappears, that at the end of an incalculable period of time it becomes finer and finer, and when it dissolves and subsides, and then comes a period of rest. There is another common ground of belief, that of creation in cycles, that the whole of creation appears and disappears, that it is projected and becomes grosser and grosser, and at the end of an incalculable period of time, it becomes finer and finer when it dissolves and subsides, and then comes a period of rest. Again, it begins to appear and goes through the same process. They postulate the existence of a material which they call Akasha, which is something like the ether of the scientists, and a power which they call prana. About this prana, they declare that by its vibration, the universe is produced. When a cycle ends, all this manifestation of nature becomes finer and finer, and dissolves into that Akasha which cannot be seen or felt, yet out of which everything is manufactured. All the forces that we see in nature, such as gravitation, attraction, and repulsion, or as thought, feeling, and nervous motion, all these various forces resolve into that prana, and the vibration of the prana ceases. In that state, it remains until the beginning of the next cycle. Prana then begins to vibrate, and that vibration acts upon the Akasha, and all these forms are thrown out in regular succession.